How much should music be worth though? There has been a lot of talk about how Spotify in particular isn't paying artists fairly. Ben Jordan is required reading for this channel, so I expect most of you are at least familiar with the basics of this topic. Also, more recently Spotify revealed that it doesn't even pay royalties per stream, but in fact, that payout depends on multiple factors and comes out of a pool of money comparable to TikTok. So if we all agree that however little money Spotify is paying to artists isn't enough, then how much should artists be paid per stream? How much financial value can we give to music? I've had many conversations with close friends about why so few people are listening to our songs. A question we ended up with was, in our immediate social circles, how many people are even listening to music? How many people are listening to music regularly or even daily? Also, how do they listen to music? Do they ever sit down to listen to music and don't do anything else? Is it on in the background while they're cooking, cleaning, studying? And are they even paying attention to the music? How about you? Are you ever consciously sitting down to listen to a song or even an album? I would argue that the value of music is in many ways reliant on the context in which it is consumed. An easy way to answer the question of how much financial value music should have is right in front of our noses. Many customers of Spotify are probably quite happy with the amount of money they pay per month to listen to music. I assume Spotify will have worked quite hard on maximizing their revenue by optimizing the exact subscription price in each region. And from another point of view, if the society we live in doesn't feel it should enable many more small artists such as myself to make a living with their music, maybe my artistic output simply doesn't have any financial value in the grand scheme of things. If we take a look at how the music industry has evolved over the last couple of decades, something apparent is that today there are exponentially more independent artists trying to make a living from music simply because recording technology has gotten easier to access. Also, it seems like the mainstream is becoming more and more scattered. Hardly anybody I know is going to check out the newest release by popular artists, and most people seem to be guided mostly by algorithms on Spotify or similar platforms in their journey of discovering new music. So I think it's only to be expected that more and more artists will find their audiences, but those audiences will grow smaller and smaller. Another factor streaming, but even earlier downloading music, brings to the table is that people seem to be listening to more individual songs rather than whole albums. Whereas some years ago, you might have went out and bought an album with 10 to 20 tracks by the same artist. Today I think it's much more common for people to listen to 1 or 2 songs on an album and then move on to a different artist. As I discussed earlier in the video, I think the value of music should be assessed differently depending on the context in which it is consumed in. This because I think especially financial value is not something a product inherently has, but it should be derived from how much value it has to people who pay that money. So an idea I have is platforms like Spotify could start analyzing in what context a song is played. For example, if you actively click on a specific song and then play the whole song, that might indicate that the song has more value to you than if it just comes on while you're listening to an algorithmic playlist for 2 hours and never skip a track. This could maybe be a way of moving away from the playlistification of music that Venus Theory described, and it would reward tracks that people actively seek out, more comparable to tracks that just get put on playlists and people don't even know the name and they just listen through it like unaware of what's going on. Like songs that just get played in the background by many people who don't curate their own music would be kind of decentivized, and it would be incentivized to come up with music that people, maybe fewer people, actually want to go and seek out. Also, they could decrease how much a play is worth the more often you stream a song. Maybe the first listen could be considered a free trial, and then the second stream would be where artists earn the bulk of what they can earn from a single listener through a single song. And after the second play, each subsequent stream by the same listener is worth less and less money until there is a total that can't be surpassed, comparable to an MP3 download, like $1 or $2, what you would have paid a couple of years ago to download a single song. Also, an interesting way to regulate how much people have to pay for Spotify could be that they implement something like a song limit per month. As they have now, there might still be a free plan where you can basically only listen to radio and you can't select individual songs to stream anymore. And a tier higher, where you pay something, you might only be able to save and specifically listen actively to a handful of tracks, maybe 30 per month, and then you can save those 30 songs to your collection and treat them like a regular MP3 file, like from a couple of years ago, but you can't specifically stream unlimited songs. You have like 30 new you can add to your collection per month, and the rest you can do is only radio. Shuffle, basically. Algorithmic playlists. This would incentivize users to be a lot more selective and conscious about what and how much music they consume. Also, for people who want to discover more music, there could of course be more expensive plans where you have 50 songs per month, 100 songs per month, 1,000 songs per month, what do I know, just for higher subscription fees. That's basically my idea of how you could make Spotify better. I'm aware that this concept is not fully fleshed out, and I would love to hear some critiques and general opinions about this whole topic in the comments. So, what I think is the real problem Spotify has introduced into the music ecosystem is not necessarily that artists don't earn enough. Because back again to Ben Jordan's video, for example, about Spotify, it was or is in some way, depending how you calculate it, the biggest source of income for selling music. For me as well, like I earn basically nothing through music, but still pretty much 100% of what I earn is through Spotify. I don't think that's the real issue. I think the real issue is that music has become a commodity because it is so easy to access. I think the value of it gets lost because people don't have to curate their music anymore. Does that make sense? Many people that listen to music, I think, don't even know the tracks that's currently playing, don't know the artist of the song they're listening to. Like, for example, lo-fi hip-hop. How do you listen to lo-fi hip-hop? I just put lo-fi hip-hop on Spotify and then play a random playlist. And I think it's common, more and more so, that people don't know artists or songs or whatever. So how can we give music value if nobody listens to it? And with listening, I mean like intentfully listens to it. So I think that is a shift that has to happen, and platforms like Spotify or other streaming services could make the music listening process more rewarding even to listeners by implementing some form of rareness, like giving music some rarity and some, like just displaying it as if it had more value than it might have at the moment. These are my thoughts about Spotify, about the value of music. I hope you enjoyed the video. I'm trying to reach 600 subscribers by the end of the year. This is, I think, realistic, but I would really appreciate if you help me reach that goal. I wanted to reach 1,000 back in January, but it's not looking like that is going to happen, so I had to adjust my expectations a bit. That's it.